Alright, if you guys are new to the channel, I hope you subscribe. I do plenty of content like Jobbers Goons videos, all that. Sometimes videos like this, but they're kind of rare. And I just dropped my own battle with a full 3D animation. Go check that out. It was Starkiller vs. Anakin. And make sure to check out the Discord. We have over 675 members, about to hit 700, and we're growing as a community, hoping to hit 20K real soon. Shout out to everybody that's shown love so far and continued on the journey. Now, if you've been a fan for a while, you know I haven't done a lot of debunks, right? Like, especially in the last couple years, really toned it down. I mean, for one whole year, I went without completely doing debunks because people would say, you know, when you do debunks, you're not using your own ideas. You're like taking from others. And I don't agree with that, but I understand where they're coming from. And I didn't want to be portrayed as someone just doing debunks. So I cut it out completely. But I slowly got back into addressing topics others did and stuff. And we're doing that today. Because I'm sorry, I actually, this morning, felt like going to watch Apocalypse vs. Black Adam. And I had some real problems with how they scaled them. So we're going to get into those. And I'm going to start out with the positive because obviously what Death Battle has done for the community overall is great. I mean, they gave a lot of people inspiration and they helped spawn a lot of fantastic content. So hats off to them. And I definitely don't want to come across as like I hate them or something. The animation was actually pretty dope. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the battle. As someone who just recently had a battle made, I really appreciate the work that goes into all that and how intricate the process is. So major shout out to them on that. So we got the nice shit out the way. Let's put our hard hats on, dog. Let's get into what my problems or issues were with the topic. First of all, I'm a big fan of both characters. If you guys have been a fan for a while, you know I'm well researched on Apocalypse. Haven't made as much content on Black Adam, but I do enjoy Black Adam, and I have read plenty of comics for him. Now, in terms of who I think would win, if you want to see me do my own version of this battle, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll kind of give you a full-fledged breakdown maybe, but I'm going to address specific points that I just completely disagree with them on when it came to scaling this characters, which ultimately that's crucial when deciding who wins, like how you scale. So first, they blatantly put it, like they put it in writing in the conclusion that Death Battle believes ultimately that there is an equivalency of both cosmologies. They firmly believe that Marvel and DC are equivalent as cosmologies. First of all, whether you think Marvel is stronger or DC is stronger, just saying the entirety scales equivalent to both is kind of tough to say. Like, you need to get into detail on that. Like, what do you mean the top dog is as strong as the top dog? Do you mean each actually has equal layers that scale to each other? Well, like, what are you saying by that? Or do you just mean overall, in a general sense, you think they're equal? I just thought, no, I'm not seeing it. It didn't really make sense. And then they further go on that point by saying that this would stand to reason the Quintessence and the Celestials are equal. Why? Like, why would those two layers be equal? Why would we randomly just say those two are equal? That's like if you say Marvel and DC ultimately are equal in scaling as cosmologies. Therefore, it stands to reason that Earth 616 scales to the Monitor Sphere. Like, what? Why do you think that? That there's no reason or like thought really substantiated behind why specifically Quintessence and their power would scale to Celestials. Like, why those two layers of the cosmology? Why would those be equal? That didn't make any sense to me. That was like mad confusing. If you agree with them on how they put it and how they explained it, please, I'm serious, in the comment section down below, rephrase what they said. Tell me what you think they said, because they didn't really give any validity behind saying Quintessence and Celestials are like relevant to each other. I'm not seeing it. Like, nah. I just don't really get that point, and it wasn't fleshed out at all in a way that made sense to me that like justified the scaling. I do want to emphasize before moving on the point that when I'm saying I don't understand the equivalency, I'm saying if you make the case that they're equal, that's fine, but you have to make a case. They didn't make a case. They didn't make a case solidifying any part of those two claims that go together. So no, I just don't feel comfortable with how they tried to justify it. So definitely let me know how you think they meant to justify it. Like, what do you think they meant by how they worded that? Because it like, I'm serious. I'm not saying this is how they are. I'm just telling you how I perceive this. It kind of seemed like they, almost like when you just turn in an assignment for completion, not accuracy. Like, they just read some comics and were like, oh, both sides are pretty strong. Yo, just say the cosmologies are equal. Like, both sides are strong as shit. We're not going to really get into that. Just say both sides are equal. Like, in cosmology. Like, that's how it felt. I was like, what the fuck is that? I was taken aback by that. I genuinely was. Okay, so I kind of feel like I got that point down. Let's move on to the next one. They kind of casually just said Apocalypse could just reverse Uno any energy attack Black Adam has. Let me tell you why that's batshit crazy. First of all, like you guys know, I've covered Apocalypse several times, so I encourage you to actually, after this video, especially if you're new to the channel, go check out my Apocalypse content on him. I've covered him extensively multiple times. However, to say he just like casually flips around Black Adam's energy blast is very negligent of what recently happened in DC Comics. So like DC Comics within the last year or two had a moment in which Black Adam confronted Darkseid. This is the strongest Darkseid we've ever seen, including versions of True Form of Darkseid. I don't feel like many people would argue True Form Darkseid loses to Apocalypse, especially since they said Thanos loses to Darkseid, but I digress. Anyways, we saw the strongest Darkseid, so you got that point already. You should already know we're getting in dangerous fucking waters for Apocalypse. Black Adam ran into a Darkseid that was being controlled by the Great Evil Darkness, and that had literally, the Great Evil had chained his avatars. So Darkseid has Great Evil's chains on him, right? You know how fucking strong that is? The Great Evil that stood against the Presence? Strong as shit. These chains, Black Adam confronts Darkseid, as this is basically their last stand, knocks him back and was like, fuck you and the Great Evil Darkness. You'll feel the pain of my gods. And lets loose the lightning blast and energy blast that's so strong. It breaks. It destroys the chains of the Great Evil Darkness. And it destroyed them so much that for a moment, Darkseid was broken out of its control. That's insane. That alone, and the fact we know that's like current Black Adam, and like we've seen him fight Santa before, we've seen him do high-end shit when he has to, that's just too much for you to just casually say, oh, Apocalypse would flip his energy around on him. Like, relax. Again, they're saying that because they basically stats equalized it with that weird misnomer of a first point we reviewed. But no, it's Apocalypse isn't just reverse Unoing lightning that destroyed the chains of the Great Darkness, which forced the chains to have to reconstruct. Like, no, stop it. Next, mind-hacked resistances are questioned for Black Adam. This is a fun point to talk about. Like, I do think there is a discussion to be had about Apocalypse versus Black Adam with mind hacks, but they kind of just said, oh, Black Adam's not necessarily immune, so Apocalypse mind hacks would work. And you're like, what? That it wasn't a good enough explanation for why they believe that was a win con for Apocalypse. That's my point to that. Like, Black Adam can go against someone and break the mental hold of the Great Evil Darkness and resist Darkseid as he's fighting him, and tell him, like, my gods are superior to being controlled by bullshit like that. All these things. We then see that the Black Adam has also resisted characters like Martian Manhunter before. I believe Manhunter even got hurt when trying to get into the mind of Black Adam. This same Martian Manhunter can mind hacks archetypal beings. Like, Black Adam has some very, very good resistance scaling. He could, by his own, resist the paling for a pretty good amount of time. The paling basically one-shot Earth, and characters like Superman were getting folded. So his resistances are high tier, and definitely has high tier arguments for how they go. And they kind of just dismissed it without really clarifying the extent of Black Adam's resistances, and specifically why at his peak mind hack showings he can't hold off Apocalypse, who doesn't really start off with mental attacks anyway, but that's fine if you want to say that's a win con. I just need a better explanation from them on why. Now, in truth, I feel like their handcuffing of the battle by basically trying to randomly stats equalize and for some reason say certain layers are equal to one another without any real justification, I think that route really handicapped Black Adam, and it's obviously going to favor someone who has more versatility if stats are equalized. So I completely disagree with that notion anyway, and I don't think that was the correct way to address this battle. And overall, those are the main points of contention I had with the video, and I feel like those points, especially a couple of them, are just too devastating that it kind of ruined for me their method behind who wins. I was like, dude, come on, that shit's lazy. You could pick a better win con, or you could extrapolate better. You could at least mention why certain points were greater than others. It just, a lot of things weren't justified. A lot of points were just made and not solidified, and that was my issues. But again, shout out to Death Battle. Go subscribe to them if you haven't already. Definitely support everybody in the community. Don't be a hater. We are two opposing dynamics who disagree on, I guess, how we go about research or whatnot, or their research points, and that's perfectly fine, and it's perfectly healthy to have discussions. Make sure to show love to both channels. Help me on my growth to 20K. Make sure to go check out Anakin vs. Starkiller. That was such an amazing video to make. And yeah, shout out to my second channel, Coffee Shop Comics, and that'll do. I will see y'all later. Peace.